I was wrong. I read all the comments on my previous video about kind of wishing I had a little bit more range in my Model 3, and a lot of you guys made interesting comments that I wanted to address. So first off, I have to say that a number of the things that were brought up I didn't address because many people have asked me to shorten my videos, just get to the point, illustrate the point, and end the video. And so I've been doing my best to shorten the videos so I don't ramble too much. And to that end, I sort of glossed over a few things that normally I would have addressed. So first of all, oh my goodness, a dozen people I think mentioned Kim from Like Tesla, which, good channel, I'm a subscriber there, her latest video regarding charging level. Now bear in mind, I shot my video before I don't know if her video wasn't out yet or if I just hadn't seen it, but normally I watch her stuff, so I think I would have watched it first and then would have addressed it during my video, but in this instance I hadn't seen it yet. Once my video was out, then I was rooting through YouTube and I noticed it there, so I wanted to do a follow-up anyway, but so many people asked about it that I felt it was necessary to do a follow-up on that. Plus, a number of people have asked about my tires and mentioned using the Aero wheels and tires, and why am I not doing that? A couple people asked if I'm using snow tires because the rolling resistance kills range. And so first I'll address the main objection that people had, and that is that charging a Model 3 up to 90 or even 100% daily isn't hard on it, and that you don't need to worry about charging to 70 or 80% to protect the battery pack, that's antiquated data. First off, turns out you guys are right, and there's a few things that I want to address on that. So number one, there is some and Kim alluded to this as well, and there have been a few little tidbits over the years that Tesla has mentioned, that painting a picture with all of those pieces of information, it looks like Tesla is protecting the very top of the battery and the very bottom of the battery. So when you are charging to 100%, the battery pack isn't actually at 100% of its chemical capacity in charge, and that when you run it down far enough that the pack just stops moving the car, that it's not truly at 0%. Now what that amount is, are they protecting 5% at the top and 5% at the bottom, 2%, 10%, who knows? But there does seem to be some of that going on there. And as a sidebar to that, for those of you that don't know, I've been involved with lithium batteries, gosh, for 14 years now, I think it is. Started with lithium polymer batteries in radio-controlled helicopters. I used to design and manufacture radio-controlled helicopters back in the day, back before multi-rotor drones, back when they were pod and boom helicopters, one main rotor, one tail rotor, and very mechanical, not all the electronic stabilization that we have now. And back in the early days, lithium batteries were hypersensitive and extremely short-lived. I had several batteries that, not knowing, I would charge them to 100% and run the helicopter till it didn't want to hover very well, and I would get 30 or 40 recharges out of it, and then it wouldn't even work anymore, it wouldn't accept a charge. And that goes back to, in the radio control industry, back with NiCad and nickel metal hydride batteries, were completely opposite of lithium batteries, in that what you wanted to do is fully charge the battery all the way up and fully discharge it all the way down. And when I say all the way down, I mean all the way down. We used to dead short the positive and negative leads together after discharging it for storage. So then we would charge it all the way up and sometimes overcharge it, force more current into the battery, because that kept the cells happy. It kept the pack balanced. Cells were horribly out of balance from the factory back then, even matched cell battery packs. Kept the packs balanced, and there was some internal chemistry thing that with those batteries, and I'm not a chemist, but that made those batteries happy. then the early generation of lithium batteries came out. First they were lithium ion batteries, round cells, then we went to lithium polymer batteries, which are flat pouch cells like in a cell phone. And the early lithium batteries, oh my gosh, I mean, if you charged it to 100% just a few times, you noticed a drastic drop in capacity. If you discharged it down until it was noticeable loss in power, you know, there was a drastic reduction in battery life. I mean, it was monumental. But if you would charge the battery to 70 or 80%, stop running it at 25% or so, and just use about half of the battery's capacity right in the middle, you'd get hundreds and hundreds, I mean thousands of recharges, and it would still function seemingly as new. In fact, I have a couple lithium polymer batteries from 13 years ago that still work just fine because I'm not pulling huge current from them. I'm protecting the top and bottom of the charge. So that's my history. And lithium chemistries are still sensitive to the top of the charge and the bottom of the charge, but it does appear as though the Model 3, the new chemistry 2170 cells, are less sensitive than the 18650 cells that the previous generations used, and those were better than the early lithium batteries that I'm used to using in RC-based equipment. So it appears that you guys are right, that charging to 90% and discharging down to like 10% daily is totally fine. And also, as far as charging to 100% and discharging down below 10%, we occasionally go on road trips with this car, so that happens occasionally anyway. And if there's any benefit to doing that once in a while, balancing the pack or whatever, we have to do it occasionally with the car, so that does occur for us. One other thing is that the way, if it's true, and I believe it is, that Tesla is saying 100% charge on the car really isn't, and that there's some capacity left, and that, you know, 10% charge is actually some value higher than that. I do that with my electric bikes. My electric bikes, 50.4 volts is 100% state of charge for the batteries, but I have my chargers set to cut off at 49.4 volts. So I protect that top 1 volt, and then the batteries are good to, you can run them down to about 36 volts safely, but I have my low voltage cutoff set for 40 volts on my bikes, so that way I'm protecting the bottom of the battery and the top. If I leave it plugged in endlessly, it's never going to charge beyond like 90%. If I run it until the bike won't move anymore, well, that's just the low voltage cutoff in my motor controller, the inverter, and so that protects the bottom of the pack. Because of that, my batteries naturally stay in balance and they last forever. I mean, they just keep on working. Anyway, so yes, a lot of rambling, but this car, it does appear that 10% to 90% is a safe range. In the summer, more than likely, I'll probably still charge it to 80 or 85% just because I won't need any more range than that. In fact, that's way more range than I'll need. And just for giggles to do it. I mean, let's face it, the battery in this car is what, let's call it $30,000. I don't know for sure, $25,000, $30,000. Kind of want to make sure it's protected. I'm going to continue doing more research on this topic, and I'm sure more will come to light over the next several months. And I drive so many miles that I've already got over 25,000 miles on this in 6 months, so I'll be a good guinea pig test subject for this. So now, tires. I'm currently running the 20-inch wheels and Michelin Pilot Sport AS3 Plus tires, which are an all-season tire with, I believe it's a 500 tread wear rating, if I remember correctly. And initially I put these on in the summer, and I was going to use my aero wheels and tires in the winter just because they're more efficient, and I knew that I would want more efficiency. And also, once those wear out, I was going to put snow tires on the wheels. Well, I found that, wow, those aero wheels and tires, they have a very close tread, and that close tread makes them not grip nearly as well on slick surfaces. These Michelin Pilot Sport ASs are absolutely awesome. I mean, they grip incredibly well. They are not winter tires, but they're an all-season tire, and they have a broader tread depth to them. There's wider gap between each of the lugs on the tire, so they tend to grip very, very well. The rear tires are wider, so I have more contact patch, and so I like these wheels and tires, and I'm on the fence. I'll probably switch back and forth. I'll probably do a video on this, trying the Aero wheels and tires and then putting these back and comparing the two. But for now, I've still got my 20-inch wheels and tires on it, and yes, that does affect my range. I also want to address my last video. I wasn't trying to complain about the car, not at all. What I was trying to do was to be transparent and to let people know that, you know, even the mighty Tesla is not a perfect car, and to not assume that every day you get in it you're going to have 300 miles that you can drive before you need to plug it in again. That's not always going to be the case depending on the circumstances. So just something I wanted to address. I'm not complaining. Those of you that think I'm complaining and that have made comments that, you know, well, what do you expect, or you're doing something wrong, don't blame Tesla. I'm not blaming Tesla. So don't think that. So those are my thoughts, and aside from that, I'm not infallible. I mean, what I said in the first video is true, but there is less urgency to protecting the top 20 and bottom 20% of the battery than there was in previous chemistries. You guys were right on that, so I appreciate the heads up and the correction on that. I'm not averse to being corrected. So anyway, again, I apologize for the rambling, but again, I didn't want to address a lot of this in my last video because I was trying to keep it short, but I wanted to wax eloquent in this video to give you guys some of that additional data, let you know, my thoughts on it. So anyway, I appreciate all of you guys. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. My referral code is a link in the description below, as I've been stating in each video. Go ahead and keep commenting. Let me know if you think that I'm off base on something. I'm more than willing to listen. If you guys are off base in your comments, as you've noticed, I'm sure I don't mind blasting back. But anyway, have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.